Hey friends, it's me, Mr. Lester. Are you ready for another snacking story? Me too. Today's story is one they might be familiar with, but people love taking stories we know and changing them up. Today's story is Alaska's Three Pigs. Come on, let's go! Alaska's Three Pigs. Once upon a time, in the wilds of Alaska, there were three little pigs. Now, these little pigs had traveled a long way to build homesteads in Alaska's bush. They each wanted to find a piece of land on which to live and grow big cabbages. They arrived on the frontier in summer, during the bright, warm days of the midnight sun, when the sun seems to shine all through the night. "It's too nice and sunny to work," said the first little pig. "Let's go camping instead." "Good idea," said the second little pig. "I'll pack marshmallows that we can toast." "And I'll bring my fishing rod to catch salmon on the rivers," said the third little pig. So the three little pigs spent the long days of summer hiking, camping, and fishing. But soon the first autumn frost came, and the sun no longer stayed out all day and into the night. The third little pig said to his brothers, We've had a good time, but now we must find land and build our homes before winter comes." The pigs put on their heavy, thick coats made of fur, down, and wool, and started out across the frosty frontier. When the pigs had traveled some distance, the first little pig said, "I'm tired, and I have walked far enough. I'll stop here in this grove of spruce trees." So he said goodbye to his brothers, and they continued on their way. The first little pig looked around and spied an old trapper's cabin among the trees. There were chinks in the walls, the roof was moldy, and the stove was dented. "Well," thought the pig, "it's not pretty or clean, but it's better than having to build my own cabin." So he dropped his bag inside, grabbed his snowboard, and headed to Mount McKinley. The other two little pigs soon stopped to rest as an early snow began to fall. The second little pig decided he had traveled far enough and declared, "I'm going to build my house here on the wide open tundra." So he said goodbye to his brother, who continued on his way. As the second little pig stood on his homestead, he felt big, fat snowflakes landing on his snout. Thought the little pig. "It's snowing harder, and I don't want to get stuck in the snow without a roof over my head." The little pig cut down some small willows growing alongside a nearby river. He loosely braided the branches to make walls and patched together grass and moss for a roof. After a short time, the little pig had finished his house. "Done!" he cried. Then he grabbed his skis and went to join his brother. The third little pig was a smart little pig. He wanted a strong house before the full force of winter came to Alaska. In winter, he knew it would be dark most of the time, and he wanted to be protected from the bitter cold and from hungry wild animals. As he walked along, the third little pig suddenly felt a cool mountain wind blow down from a glacier. "Aha!" he cried. He took a shovel, a pickaxe, and a sled up into the foothills and carved out a block after block of glacier ice. It was hard work. He had to load the blocks onto his sled and haul them back to his homestead site. It took several trips and many long hours before the little pig had enough blocks to begin building his igloo. He carefully stacked the blocks one on top of the other and filled in all the cracks with snow. Then he poured water over the walls so that they would freeze solid. When he finished, he had a strong, safe house made of ice. Now the third little pig loved the outdoors as much as his brothers did, But before he went to play, he wanted to get ready for the cold night ahead. He gathered wood to build a fire. Then he shoveled snow into a big barrel to melt for fresh drinking water. Finally, the little pig hooked some dogs to his sled and rode off to meet his brothers. The little pigs loved to play in the snow. Whoosh! The first little pig made big turns on his snowboard. Yee-haw! The second little pig yelled joyfully as he followed along on his skis. Bark, bark! The third little pig's dog team barked happily as he mushed them all around. Yee-haw! Bark, bark! Whee! But all the noisy fun woke up a grizzly bear who was hibernating in a cave nearby. The grizzly was not happy to be disturbed. He had been sleeping for several weeks and was very, very hungry. Grrr, the bear grumbled, and grrr, the bear's stomach rumbled, and the sound echoed out of the cave. The third little pig pulled his dog sled to a stop and listened. He said to his brothers, "It's getting very dark and cold now. I think we should go back to our safe new homes." No sooner had the first little pig latched the rusty lock on his cabin door than he heard a soft knock. Little pig, let me come in," said the hungry grizzly bear. Although the little pig was lazy, he was not stupid. He knew that if he opened the door, he would be the grizzly's dinner. "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin," answered the little pig. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," said the bear. Taking a deep, deep breath, he huffed and he puffed, and he blew on the little pig's cabin. The rotten wood of the old cabin toppled under the bear's hot breath, leaving the first little pig shaking by his dented stove. But as the hungry bear swiped his big paw at the pig, his claw caught on an old tea kettle. He started banging his paw on the stove to get it off. And the first little pig quickly ran to the second little pig's house. But as soon as the brothers were safe behind the willow door, they heard a sharp rap. Little pigs, growled the grizzly. "I want to make my dinner, so let me come in." The two little pigs were trembling in the corner, and it wasn't from the cold. "Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins," cried the pigs. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," grunted the grizzly bear. And he huffed and he puffed, he puffed and he huffed. He blew so hard that the small windows whirled like a blizzard. In the confusion, the little pigs escaped and raced to the third little pig's igloo. The three little pigs quickly shut the ice door. As soon as they did, they heard a loud pounding. Little pigs, let me come in," bellowed the bear. "Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins," answered the smart third little pig. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," roared the grizzly bear. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he blew until icicles hung from the tips of his nose, and his breath came out in great big clouds. But the igloo was strong. It did not tumble down around the little pigs. It didn't even budge. The hungry grizzly did not give up. Digging his claws into the ice walls, he started to climb up to the top of the igloo. "He'll come through the smoke hole," squealed the first little pig. The second little pig covered his eyes, but the third little pig had a plan. He took the barrel of melted snow and pushed it out the door. When the grizzly bear reached the top of the igloo, he looked down and saw the third little pig standing outside. This was his chance. He jumped and slid down the icy wall and landed right in the barrel of water. As the grizzly tried to get out of the barrel, the cold, cold air froze his wet fur solid. Then the three little pigs loaded the bear onto their dog sled and pushed and pulled him back to his cave where he belonged, and where he would not thaw out for a very long time. The end.